Hey, it's November 5th, Friday. Thanks, Ben, for coming in. Dr. James Choo. We are on a 6-part series that I think maybe 6. You got a couple guys coming in, the Army Ranger, Green Beret guys. We got to set up. So our topic today is our halfway point. So we've interviewed 3. We've got 3 more coming that we know set up the next two or 3 Fridays. I just want to take this time, maybe a 20, 30-minute segment of going over what mental toughness looks like to you since we've defined the last 3. Has it changed any? Do you think it's the same?
I think there are... I don't know if I think my idea of mental toughness has stayed pretty consistent throughout the conversations. I think obviously there's a component of where you were raised to. Everybody's influenced by their environment and who they're surrounded by. There's no doubt about that. But at some point in time, there's got to be a light bulb that clicks for that individual, that one person, where it is this total self-accountability of yourself, okay? And in spite of what your environment looks like, good or bad, because we've seen it in individuals who've had good circumstances, bad circumstances, mentally tough and good and bad circumstances all the way around. But I think the common denominator is that there's a realization that there is in self-agency when it comes to mental toughness. What I mean by that is the person themselves understands that it's the mind and the attitude under all circumstances that defines how tough you are. So, I just look back on certain situations in my life, and you can go down a dark road or a road where you're saying, okay, well, there's a reason behind all of this. I can take the high road here and be as positive as I can be and make something good out of this really bad situation. And I think that type of mental outlook, a relentless positive outlook, is something that defines whether or not you can be resilient and be mentally tough. And so that translates into everything that you do. I think the Woodgym is a great place because you've got such accomplished individuals and you've got a variety of people here, but you are set up with obstacles. And so you step up to the rack or the dumbbells and it's your mind that wills you to, number 1, come into the Woodgym. Number 2, decide whether or not you are going to listen to the coach and do the things that you need to do. And then you have to will yourself to pick up those weights and it's almost like not only a physical exercise, but an exercise in developing your mindset as well. So I think positive mental outlook is not something that you're just either born with. You have to practice just like you do in the weights or your sport or anything that you do in life beyond just the physical world. And that if you apply those lessons of mental will and positive outlook under duress and stress, you can become stronger. And it's the same thing when life hits you in the mouth. It's not easy. Sounds like just simple platitudes. But I mean, when you're in those moments, can you have the will to say, I'm going to turn this into something positive no matter what? I'm going to find a solution to this problem no matter what, no matter how crappy that situation is, and have that faith that if you you can overcome this obstacle with determination and a positive outlook, that you will be better for it. Just like if I lift this weight or run this trail, that you'll have the faith that the effort was worth it, Mm-hmm. So I think that I don't think anything has really changed in my mind. Certainly people are influenced. They're either set back or they're set up for becoming mentally stronger. And I'm interested in talking to some more of those individuals in the future that have different backgrounds. So we got some exciting people that will have some incredible obstacles that they've had to overcome. And they have seems like to me, we haven't met some of them yet, that have a relentless positive outlook. And there's a variety of ways that it can be expressed. But I think in the end, I think it just reaffirms what I was thinking, that yes, the environment plays a role, but in the end, it's your self-determination that says, I'm going to be mentally tough. I'm going to be positive. I'm going to put one step in front of the other no matter what. And that can be exercised over time.
So more repeated acts, repeated habits. Do you think that's
can help?
Yeah,
can help.
Yeah.
But I think, and if you those repeat and discipline obviously is a part of mental toughness too. I mean, being disciplined is that act of doing something that you know you should do, but you don't want to do. Mm-hmm. You got to get it done. Mm-hmm. Helps you with your will and your control of yourself, and gives you agency and charge through your day. That certainly helps. And so when you are having a difficult time getting up in the morning to go work out or take care of something that you have to take care of, and you just call it in, you sleep, or mm-hmm. you push through and you do it, well, you're exercising will. And so if you've added those kind of moments up throughout your entire life, and then something really heavy hits you square in the face, in the jaw, something, a tragedy or a trauma or something, well, you've had a bank of mileage of saying, well, I'm going to get through this. And you've exercised that muscle to say, well, I don't feel like getting out of bed and doing the things that I need to do. Now you're set back with something terrible that's happened in your life, but you're used to putting one foot in front of the other. Even when you're tired, you don't want to do that. And that'll help you. It doesn't get rid of all the pain. It doesn't get rid of everything, but it helps you move forward rather than just lying down and saying, I can't. There's nothing I can do about the situation, right? So it's a muscle to exercise, but it's not the only answer. I think one thing that we have not talked about in full is that faith. Where does faith play a role in your outlook on toughness? Because I'm not just talking about I know Joe was talking about his kid on the football field, but and I know that there are some physically tough individuals that play the game with ferocity and are amazing athletes and have done so well. And then outside of life, when the lights turn off and the career is over, it's maybe a different story. Mm-hmm. Maybe not. Maybe they're just as ferocious in life as they are on the field. So I try to look at things in terms of the totality of life. Okay, at some point in time, this game ends for all of us, and I'm talking about the game of life, mm-hmm. right? And the tragedies of life, which are inevitable for all of us. And that's something you and I have talked about off camera. And so what does it all mean? This time that we have on earth. If you don't think about those things on a fundamental level of, I only have so much time on this earth. And why am I here, and the purpose of what you're doing, and whether or not you have a faith as to where you're going to be or the reasons why you're here. I don't know if you can have that fuel and that fire as well to withstand the struggles of life. I think that is something that inherently fuels. It can make or break the way that you approach life in general, right? All of it, the game, the struggles, your business, your purpose, your family, all of that stuff. I think that's almost fundamental to how resilient you can be and how tough you can be. Does that make sense?
I'm so happy for this one today. And again, it turned out exactly what needed to happen. And that goes with faith.
Because we've not talked about that.
I know it.
On camera or on
period.
Yeah.
I mean, because we don't get together as much as we used to. Everybody's got different schedules. So we catch up here. It's kind of good because, again, gosh, I took so many notes on all those things. Faith is huge.
Yeah.
We talk about, I was even talking to Justin Sims earlier. He was training earlier this morning and a great podcast. I really liked his. And the word difficult to a lot of people means it can't be done. But the word difficult is just saying, hey, it's going to be difficult, but we could do it.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we're talking about. Even I was thinking about getting out of bed and the motivation which flees. It's more discipline, but it's that little voice. So you got to go with people hear that little voice that says stay in bed, or people hear that little voice of I got to get up. And I think that's what we're trying to figure out of and where and how my voice is different than someone else's voice. And I think it comes with what you were talking about with adversity, because you see certain people that live such an easy life, but there's nothing to them because it's such an easy life compared to people that have had it hard their whole life. But hard, again, doesn't mean negative. No. And even Freddie Smith, who was on the show about mental toughness, he was in this morning. We were talking about the annual turkey ride that I do. I think it's the 23rd annual turkey ride that we do. And Freddie and I looked at each other and we were like, man, I think we're going to have some really cold weather for the turkey ride this year. And he goes, man, I'm thinking the same thing. But we still go every time, whether it's rain or cold. So some people show up when it's like that. And the ones that I could bank on that are going to do that are usually the ones that are most successful with their life.
And I think it's probably how they process difficulty, right? It's an opportunity, or you're just going to get through it, or, there's a resilience. There's, I don't know. I'm not, how do you see it when you are seeing the cold weather? It's raining. You're about to do your mountain bike ride. How do you perceive the weather or things not being as perfect as you'd like for it to be?
Well, I look at it as more. I think we talked about this too. Is gratitude of all the different events that go on and the adversity. I like it when it's kind of cool when it's pouring rain and I pull in the parking lot where I mountain bike and there's no other cars in the parking lot. That geeks me up because it's like, wow, I'm still different. Nobody's caught on to what the secret to success or the secret to happiness or whatever, the secret to having the edge. Just like when you went in the trail to run, to get ready for one of your many climbs, it was so cold. You had your phone ready, maybe listen to music, maybe a podcast, maybe some scripture, and the damn thing went dead. And you're like, well, I still got to run.
Yeah.
So
and I was excited.
It's almost like the best ones love the hurdles and the challenges, and the ones that just move through life, they almost don't get those challenges. But we talked about faith. I always like to open up with people, and it's a weird sentence, but it shocks them, but it really may have shaken them. You're going to die too.
Yeah.
And it throws people off. Like, a lot of people don't think about death, but I mean, it's
clarifies your life.
It really puts
sharpens it. It's like, oh, okay. Oh, yeah, you're right. I better get to it. You know?
Yes. Moment by moment, you're not thinking about the past. You're not thinking about the future. You're thinking, I'm grateful. I'm getting to spend time with you today. I'm grateful that Ben came in early and we were talking, and I gave you guys a heads up, and you're like, let's press on and get this one going. And I was like, I listened to a podcast 2 or 3 days ago when I was walking, and it was on Phil Mickelson, and Phil Mickelson was the guest, and the podcast host asked him, what separates you from being a top 5, top 10 golfer to a top 50 golfer to a guy that is on and off the PGA Tour to a guy struggling to get on the tour? What separates you, overall top 10, arguably top 10, top 5 golfer in the world? What separates you and what separates the other person? Without any hesitation, he said 3-foot putts. And anybody that doesn't know the golf game, that's inside the leather. You know, it's basically an arm's length that usually recreational golfers pick up on the hole, go, hey, it's a gimme, you know, count that in. 3-foot putts. So you talk about that. You talk about Phil Mickelson, who's won everything, maybe over 55 tour wins,
wow,
every major but the U.S. Open more than once. All the great ones that we have come through here, even sitting across with the honor of being with you, they keep it simple. And I think that doesn't fog your head too much. You don't overload, because, again, I see a lot of great athletes, humans coming through here, and they have all this potential, but their mind's spinning with all these different things, and they don't keep it simple. And as usual, we go back to the Woodgym, is it doesn't get any simpler than this. And you take away choices.
Yeah.
So everything is a choice. So when you talk about choices, and I've always said this for all the years I've been in the iron game, if you give a man a squat rack and you give a man a leg press, you really define the man that has the choice of doing either, which one he gets on.
Oh man, squat rack for sure. There's no doubt. But yeah, I see
it's going to hurt more.
Yeah,
more bang for your buck.
100%.
It's more you against you on your feet, which is much more athletic than on your back. But that really parallels to what we're talking about. You know, do I wake up early and get the walk or the ride or the workout in, or do I sleep? Everything's a choice. So now Phil Mickelson, going back to the 3-foot putt, explain. And he's like, well, one of his putting teachers said, your drill will always be to do 150 3-foot putts in a row and make them all. And every time you miss, whether it's 91, 121,
149,
you start completely over again. Okay? Okay. Now, Phil did that. Phil's on the tee box at a tournament. A rookie comes up to him and goes, what's going to keep me on the tour? And he said, 3-foot putts. And he goes, how do I master those? And he told him the same principle, 150 in a row. You miss somewhere along the 150, you start over. Came up to him 3 or 4 weeks and said, hey, I did that drill. I got to 50 and I quit. I thought it was good. And the podcast host asked Phil, is he still on the tour?
No. Wow.
Okay, so that's what we're trying to get into. Why can't everybody be James Choo and climb all the peaks in the world? Why can't somebody be Phil Mickelson? What separates somebody from the alpha to not the alpha, or the beast mode, or the monster mentality and not balanced? See, all the great ones aren't balanced.
Yeah, we were talking a little bit about that.
So what happens?
Unhinged.
So what happens when everybody goes, you got to create a balanced life. You got to have a balanced life.
Yeah.
Okay. Look at those people. They're usually already accomplished, older, and screaming balanced life. But were they balanced when they were trying to get it?
Yeah.
No. They were obsessed, lopsided, and it was one way. So you got to. I still think the selfishness isn't a bad thing for success. And I remember you talked about that with me months and months and months ago. And you show me a winner, I'll show you a selfish person.
Yeah.
And that sounds so weird, but it's selfish to do his job or her job and create more money for the family, however you want to see that. But that's what they're doing.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Now Sims brought up the environment. I listened to his twice last week and then yesterday again, and getting set up for these special guests we got coming in the next 2 or 3 Fridays. What do we got here? Oh, hey, Ben's got a question. Okay, let's go with Ben's question right here. Does pride or ego or self-image play a role
in mental toughness? Pride or ego or self-image? I think.
Well, a poor self-image, I know you're not mentally tough because you just go down that rabbit hole that we talk about.
Mm-hmm. I think you have to have a little bit of ego to say, I can do this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know, and be realistic about it. I mean, you have to be realistic. If it's too boastful and prideful, I mean, I've seen those types of failure where people were way over their heads and they had not put in the work and overestimated their abilities.
So that would fall under the title of calculated risks.
Yeah. And then
I learned that from Freddie.
Your calculations need to be spot on, right?
Right.
And accurate. But you know, obviously, if you're, I mean, some of the best out there had really big damn egos, man. You think
Muhammad Ali?
You think Michael Jordan didn't have his big ass ego?
Yeah.
That's the biggest ego in the room.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. But I see what you're saying. He believes he's the best because he is the best.
Yeah.
You know,
he's spot on.
Right. You can't believe you're the best, and, you know, you can't make a JV team in high school playing basketball.
Right.
You know, so that's where a false ego or a false sense of self would be in the mix.
The really good ones that I've been around, they have an ego to say that I can do it, but there's for sure. I mean, right?
All of them, yes.
To say they're not like, woe is me.
No.
I can't.
No.
Oh gosh, I've got no. You know, they're out there. Fuck yeah, I can do this.
Right,
you know?
right. And it's like anything. Hey, Chewy, do you think you can run a 5-minute mile in the woods in 20-degree weather? You're not going to go, well, we'll see. I don't know. I'll give it best shot. You're like, yeah, I can.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't think that's being
not right now, but
right. But you know, it's some of those things that you have to, I think, embrace, and whoever takes it the wrong way, maybe their confidence isn't there. But if you go with a confidence to a confidence guy, they feed off it and go, I get you.
Yeah.
You know, I get what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I get your feeling.
Yeah. Did I answer your question?
Yeah. So with Sims, with the environment, I think pulling that back, I do agree with some of the stuff he was saying more and more as I listened to that, of understanding the environment. Because the environment, and then Ben and I were talking with Joe, our first guest, is manufacturing adversity. I don't think you have to do that. I don't think it's, you know, these landmines for your son or your daughter to jump over. It's going to happen. You know, adversity is going to bring you enough. So I don't understand.
Life will happen.
Right.
And then.
Right.
You know.
Now, is it your job, my job, to create something tough? Yes. But you're not manufacturing it. You're doing things that are tough.
You're challenging them.
Right. Like my father, we talked about that. He made me tough. And then my mother also made me tough. There wasn't any sugarcoating to anything. Right? I mean, do you think I'm the same way? Is that why you're pissing in your pants laughing so much? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay. I could go on, and I sit back. You know, we could go deep into this, and I sit back and I think of all the things of growing up, and it's like, now where I am, I'm like, I am so blessed that I had parents like that and other influences in my life to keep it real. And I used to have shirts 20 years ago that said, keep it real. Scripture yesterday was keeping it real. They were basically saying, if you do one thing as a lie or a fake, you do everything that way. And in here, we keep it real. The numbers don't lie. The weights don't lie. I don't lie. And that's why people like it's a blessing to come in here. But that's from my childhood. That's from
The influences are inevitable.
Right. So when I was tested with some adversities in life in the last 15, 20 years, I passed.
Right.
Because of what my parents set early in life. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And there's no doubt that the early impressions that you have always shape you, always shapes the story that you have in your mind moving forward in life.
Yeah.
But what I'm also saying too is that it doesn't have to completely, totally define you, one way or another. You can, there's also another dual component, it is what you have experienced and also your own self saying, I'm going to take this somewhere, good or bad, and I can make a positive or a negative experience out of this. Now you have created a narrative in your head that says those experiences in my life, I had parents that were shooting it raw and straight. Mm-hmm. And I'm very thankful for it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, expressing some gratitude. There are other people that could have taken that experience and been like, man, they were just too rough on me. And I didn't have, and it's the reason why I'm not doing so well because they just didn't foster that relationship. I could have swallowed a different message and maybe I would have taken it better. You could have taken a negative stance on the way that you were raised in your own mind. Right. So the individual can create their own narrative and outlook on the goods and the bads in their life and create the most positive kind of viewpoint in order to propel themselves forward. But there are others that may fold and say, and place blame and say, well, the reason why I'm not the way as good as I could have been was because my parents didn't do this for me. They talked to me this way and they didn't. Right. So there's two ways of handling your life story. Mm-hmm. Right. But you as an individual have taken it upon yourself to say, look, this was all good medicine for me. So.
Right. So how did I process it different?
Yeah. I don't know.
I mean, that's what we're trying to find.
I think that sometimes there are people that have that switch in their mind.
Well, where did I become, and Chewy, you could help me with this because you know my history, is where did I become such a realist with my own abilities and my own talents and my own where did I become that realist?
When you were saying in college, I'm not going to the league, so
I can't play here. Right. I'm not good enough.
Right.
And okay, is that submitting? Or, should I have an inflated ego as I'm just as good as Keith DeLong sitting on the field? Right?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know how that works, where you have to be able to, I don't know how you're able to weigh that out. Where, I don't know, if you had here's another question. What if you had a Charlie Patron working with you at that age? Could you have gotten further? Right? With the right types of training, could you have gotten further? I don't know.
I think the balance, and I think we've talked about this, and you're going to go spot on. I think individual sports, one-on-one sports, you against you, mm-hmm. separate yourself of the growth and the maturity you could have at an early age because there's nothing to hide behind. Mm. There's nobody else to blame it on. And I do really think wrestling, boxing, mm-hmm. motocross at competitive levels helped me so much of understanding who I am and what I'm not. And I think what happens with team sports so much, or even instructors, because everybody has hitting instructors, throwing instructors, shooting instructors. That person better give it to you real, or it's just going to be a fluff fest for an hour, and then it's not. So
you think having had those experiences gave you a realistic perspective of what you could and could not do?
Yes, because, okay, this, Dr. James Choo, you are in individual sports right now.
Right now. Yeah.
You're doing jiu-jitsu. When you climbed all the things in the world, that was you against you. When you race motocross, the first thing you have are classes. So you talk about a not everybody's the same or equal, and we're not going to give trophies.
Mm-hmm.
There's 125 novice, 250 novice, 250C, 250B, 250A, 250 expert. So
is that the size of the engine to the 250?
No, it's the talent of the class.
Oh.
You know, like CBA, you
okay.
take that for what it is. You know, A riders are the fastest, B
but
riders.
250 is the size.
The size of the class. Yeah, 250, 125s.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the size of the class.
Okay.
And they have 80s, they have everything, but they have now they have a beginner class.
Okay.
So even that's, I don't know if that's humbling, but not humbling. When you go to the racetrack, you sign up as a novice or a beginner.
Oh.
You understand what you have to say? If you've never raced before, you just can't go, I'm in the 125 Pro and 125A.
Ooh.
So I already have classes that in 2021, we're not supposed to have classes. Everybody gets a trophy. Everybody, let's just all race together. You know, in general, what I'm saying in society, to where you're at these levels, even in boxing.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, a novice boxer is a novice boxer. Why? Because he's not as good as the pro.
Yeah, he get killed.
But we don't say that out there. What we talked about with Sims's podcast, I was laughing. I won 7th place or 6th place or whatever that was. Yeah. You know, instead of going, no, you didn't. You got 5th place.
Okay, so that was, you were able to see it so real because of those experiences. And so there's almost like a push-pull where you're saying...
it's how somebody interprets it. And I've learned that through therapy, is I could tell somebody the same thing, and it's on them how it goes across their brain and out the other side, is how they interpret it. I'll give you an example. One example I talk about, and it changed my life. Okay? My junior year, my fall semester year in high school, I came home with 4 D's and an F because I thought I was a big shot doing my things or whatever, and I didn't study much. Okay, Mom got the credit card. I mean, the
report card.
The report card. Now, an Italian mother could say it so many different ways, right?
Yeah.
These words changed my life. And Chewy does more cussing on here than I do, which I love, but I'm going to do it. You loser. Okay?
Yeah, okay.
Now, how I took it was a change in the game of my life.
Yeah.
You're right. What am I supposed to say? What is she supposed to say?
Yeah.
You know, great job.
Yeah.
Oh, let's sit down and see what happened. You know, now other parents could go, wait a minute, what happened? The wheels fell off. Let's get a round table discussion. Let's get you into some tutoring. What happened? You loser.
Yeah.
But how did I interpret that? I said, you're right. I didn't go, but this. I didn't have excuse. How do you have excuses?
Where did that come from? Where you're just like, your mom, you're spot on, Mom.
Spot on, Mom. Thanks. I mean, thanks. I mean, you know, rattled the brain for 10 minutes, as we talk about in here. Charlie rattles brains for 10 minutes of delivering honesty and truth. But that changed everything for me.
So, and then how did that change?
I embraced what I was, but it didn't define me or who I could be.
Mm-hmm. Then where did the switch come on when you're like, man, I'm going to make something out of this?
When she said that.
Really?
Yeah, honestly. I mean, honestly, it was like...
And see, that's what I'm saying, is that so I don't know how you get the switch. I don't know how you get the switch. I don't know where it comes from. Sometimes I don't think the switch ever turns on for some. But like there is you took that circumstances and you somehow, whatever it was, divine inspiration, whatever it is, it clicked. And then you said, I'm not going to let this happen again.
Right.
And maybe in a different way. I mean, It's not like you went and,
Right.
Started reading poetry and
Right.
got your English grades out.
Yeah,
but
sure.
that you just knew that I'm not going to settle for this anymore.
Right.
And and you started interpreting things in your own mind in a way to channel something positive out of a circumstance. But that was on you for that to happen. I think there are a lot of people that are cruise through life with great circumstances, but it never clicks. And then it never grabs a hold of their attention, and never, that switch doesn't turn on saying, they start having that fire or that drive or whatever. Sometimes it just doesn't happen. They just, mosey through life. That's fine. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but there are some people, the Woodgym type people, there's a switch in all of them, right? Where they have said, damn it, we're going to make things work no matter what, and that's a toughness and a mental attitude. Now, I don't know how you get that on for everyone. I mean, some people have it and it happens early. I don't know.
Yeah. Like Tim Grover said in his book, winning is all different levels for what that person thinks their winning is. And I guess I agree. It's kind of takes care of everybody, but I guess I would say coming from my mother, it was real. And I took it. To a stranger calling me that, it would be like, who are you to tell me that? Mm-hmm. But that your parents love you. So they say those things out of love. And I think that's where people in here go, man, you get away with saying things that nobody else could. And I think
well, it probably did something for you. It was a good thing, right? I mean, so what you had that experience in your life, and he was like, it woke me up. Mm-hmm. Thanks, Mom.
Yeah.
And then, maybe you're waking up someone else in here, and they're like, how many times do I see "Thanks, Chaz" written on your on the photos over here, right?
Well, I mean, you got to deliver the truth in here. I was doing it yesterday afternoon to a couple clients, the same. I was in their ass, and the dad was standing right there, and I was like, we got that's sloppy. That's, and they don't say, don't talk to my daughter, talk to my son. They're like here for that.
Yeah.
And again, how they take it is on them.
Yeah.
But if you don't take it, you're not going to be the best you could be. And I think that was a game changer. Now, how do they take it? I don't know. I don't know if it clicks, but I still have to say what I need to say to know that I'm doing the best I could do for them.
But when it does click, it's a thing of beauty, right?
It's a game changer.
Yeah.
It's when people go, you know what, you're right. Like whatever it is.
So maybe what it takes is someone with an eye and that truth to maybe get that spark. Because I think that it's not always there. This dormant in people, and it can be in people. It's dormant in people, but that the tinder and the fire and the spark might be a little bit of that truth hitting them.
Pulling the beast mode out of each individual,
right?
And
right.
we talked
and everybody
about that.
Can have that,
yes.
In some way, but
yes.
Not everybody has it. It's sleeping inside.
Yes, and they don't even see it. Yeah. And it's my job, and that's what Phil was talking about. Mickelson is his eyes see shots that nobody else could see, and I think I've been labeled for 31 years. I could see greatness in people before they see it and pull it out, from Chad Pennington
for sure
to Harrison in 8th grade.
Yeah.
We go on, but you talk about even our individuals in here. Let's use Diamond Dave Marlowe, who was on the show about doing more when he thought he was doing more till he got here. So what did you become? You became Mom. You became my mother on the show to Dave. And I was in the middle, and you're going, Dave, you're just not, that's a lie. You're not eating yogurt and salads.
Yeah.
And training 6 days a week, for at least an hour and a half, like you're not doing that. That's a lie. Now with Dave, we had to create his beast mode. We had to pull out his inner monster.
Yeah.
So I had to create him to think he's the best of the best, and it switched on him. You see what I'm saying? So you're right.
That's the art of coaching.
Well, yes, it's dormant, and he doesn't see it, but I'm going to pull it out of him, just like I'm going to pull it out of 2 other clients that started this week, and they're down and out, and we talk about that whole lifestyle change and taking each step of going, okay, we can't be balanced. You got to be completely on fire with this.
Yeah.
And I think you lit a fire under Dave, and then you make him this larger than life. We talk about ego, is he had to embrace that to get to where he was, in my opinion.
And he's looking great right now.
Yeah. I mean, you can tell me Tiger Woods doesn't have an ego.
Oh, man. Yeah. Huge ego. Fill up this Woodgym.
I mean, I don't know if there's such a thing of a humble winner. I don't know if I want the humble guy to lead me to success on the field, or even my CEOs, when they walk through this door at the Woodgym, you could tell who is what. With their shoulders back, their chin up, they come in with confidence. It's not, like you said, the woe is me, the pity party. Yeah. This isn't the place for that.
There's a bit of a balance, right? They have to have an ego to have some confidence. But that confidence has to come from something real. That they've done over a span of time. Right. And so they feel like they can do these things because they have done some things for real, and overcome some adversities for real. Yeah. And, but there's also a side of humility too, where they're like, well, they're realist in a certain way where they're like, and maybe they're grateful and they, understand, well, if you do have an inflated ego, that also bites you in the ass. Mm-hmm. So I think there's like a balance there, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, and I don't think we're just puffing them up to puff them up. Mm-hmm. But you're giving those, like Harrison Smith, Harry, you're the best safety in the NFL. Let's go. Mm-hmm. I say it to him all the time in the Woodgym.
You wouldn't be wrong.
I mean, I don't think I'd be that wrong with that. I mean, Leonard Fournette, when he came here, he pulled me aside in the turf room when he was training, and he goes, "Hey, listen, I flew across the country to work with you and live with you in the Woodgym. Mm-hmm. Drop your humble ass stuff and start thinking you're the best trainer, because I want to be the best running back in this draft." And he woke me up of going.
When did he go 3?
He was 4th overall pick, first running back taken, in the first round. So he solidified from, I think he was looking at 12th overall. And, we did it. But I needed that shake up too. The aw shucks Opie mentality from Andy Griffith wasn't working. It was like, bring it. Yeah. So but we checked it off. We did it. So there's your mental toughness of, hey, I think I could do that. Oh, yeah. Like if the challenge arose again, it would be like, I got this. It's not cockiness.
You've done it.
You've done it.
You've been there.
Yeah. You've been there. And you've been there with all the defeats that you've accomplished. So it's what does Luke Coach Averitt call it? A humble brag. That's a great one, a humble brag. But it's like you said, you talk about the Jordans and the Tigers. I don't know if I want humbleness when I'm looking for a winner. At that level, you got to feel like, you think Canelo this week, Saturday, is going in humble?
No, man.
It's fight weekend again.
He's going to swallow him. And in his mind, he's going to be a lion, and that is a little sheep. That's his mind right now.
Right. Yeah. So, should he be humble? And, of course he's grateful, gratitude. I've watched numerous all access spots of inside the boxing game of those guys, and it's like he knows where
they all have an ego, those guys. I mean, but they wouldn't be wrong. That self-talk is on point.
But he's put the work in. He's transformed his body. I mean, the transformation he went through the last 5-7 years.
So what are your thoughts on mental toughness? Thus far, you've heard mine. What has changed with your thoughts?
I think it's a choice. Like I say with happiness, I think it's a choice of and you could define it and work it too, of making it a practicum or a practice each day of, I want to be mentally tougher. And I think people define their mental toughness and they work on it like anything else.
Yeah, it's a muscle, I think.
I think it's a muscle.
Yeah, in your mind, in the little bits of discipline that you have throughout the day, the way that you can almost think about your thinking, right? If your thoughts are negative, you got to be able to work on that and transform it. I can do this.
Right.
I can do this. I'm going to do this.
Right.
Right. And if you say, I can't, because you're going to have that doubt. And then you say, no, wait, I can do this. And maybe that grows and grows and grows and grows. And because you're doing it, you're seeing the results, and then it becomes a strong, and then you're tougher as a result of it. You're more resilient as a result of it. And then something really hard hits you. And then you said, wait a second, I can do this. I'm going to figure it out. I can do it. And so I think that's what it means about this agency. You have some type of, if you don't know that you don't have any control of your situation, then you're just floating out in the air, and you're a victim of circumstance and chance, and good or bad luck or whatever. But if you have that in you that say, I can control this, and it starts with my mind processing this stuff, and I can do this, and you were practicing that idea and actually doing it, not just in your mind, you're actually doing something. Yeah. Then that becomes a habit. And I think that builds resiliency, and it builds a positive mental outlook.
I agree. And I think, man, I'm so glad we sat down today, because you and I haven't had time to just
talk about this,
chop this up. Mental toughness to me is success, and however you define your success. So mental toughness is something you could work on. You could have a foundation like Sims was talking about with the inner city kids, and okay, they didn't play PlayStation, they climbed trees. Okay, they have some fortitude and some adversity called suffering. It's been hard, so they understand that. But what's the next platform to becoming successful and winning with that background? So you have to think about your background or your past to go, okay, am I this? Okay, another example. Living with my father, the heat can never be, and living in New Jersey, the heat can't be over 62 in the winters of New Jersey in the house. So your choice wasn't to go over there and turn the heat up off radiator floors, if anybody knows what radiator floors were, and it was a dial. Okay, you just had to put on another layer of clothing.
That's like my house.
You see what I'm saying? So even that now, I witness that with anybody in the house. They just go over and turn the heat up. And I don't mean like 1 or 2 notches, like
crank it up.
And, they're in shorts and a tank top. And it's like, well, if you put, so those little things to me is what I still see. I enjoy the suffering, because that, to me, those were adjustments that you had to make to now. It's not that cold.
Well, the adjustments too. Well, you made you a little bit tougher, and then also the adjustments. There's also this understanding, because some people might not understand, and understanding that those types of stressors will make you stronger. So it's a little bit too hot outside, and push through. Come rest and recover. You're stronger. Cold outside, you adjust to it. You adjust to these things, and you get stronger as a result. Resilient. I mean, it's like here physically in the Woodgym. I don't know, that thing looks really heavy. I don't know, but you pull it and you lift it and you do it. You go recover it, and you're stronger.
Well,
the same thing, and the same thing with the things that happen to you in your life. You get through those things, and so that's why I think people who understand suffering, like Freddie Smith, I really understand suffering. All right, you really understand suffering. Why you embrace it, because you know that it's good medicine.
It is good medicine, and as a doctor, you saying that is spot on. It's good medicine. It's and some of the things you do deliberately, as Joe said, manufacture adversity is when I do mountain bike rides. I don't wear gloves, so my fingers feel the cold. So I got to generate more, or a short sleeve. Just even in the Woodgym, for the viewers, listeners that have never stepped in the Woodgym, half the Woodgym is insulated with heat and air, and the turf room that's 40 yards long is not. And it's not for a reason. We could insulate it. It could be like the Ritz in here. We do it for the mental edge. And even Ben went in to get a piece of equipment for the podcast this morning. He was like, it's cold as hell in that turf room. Well, that's mental warfare. That's you.
It's not gonna kill you.
Get in there, generate your own heat, and get going. But you got to adjust to the environment. The environment can't adjust to you.
And that forges mental toughness.
I think that's where we are with it. Yeah.
I love it.
All right. I think we wrapped it up. And our guest next Friday, I think we have a 2. Oh, that'd be great if you could do 2. We could do the 1 dude, but you could take off.
We got some good people coming.
I'm really excited. I'm so glad we got to do this, though, because I think we're getting even closer. And I help I hoped my childhood story helped.
That's great.
A little.
It makes me understand where you come from a lot and why you do the things that you do.
Well, and I live in that black and white world where my therapist says the world is gray, but thank the Lord I live in the Woodgym and in the woods on a mountain bike because the weights don't lie. And I think it's either you did it or you're strong or you're not strong. Mm-hmm. You know, and the scales don't lie. Either you're fat or you're not fat. Yeah. I know we're not supposed to do those things. I mean, honestly, if a parent said that in 2021, that kid might have to go to therapy forever.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Mom.
Thanks. I'd call her all the time. I'm like, thanks, Mom. she little shit.
And thanks, Chaz.
Thanks, Chaz. All right. Happy Friday, everybody. It's going to be a great month. I'm excited. Thanks, Chewy, for coming in.
Oh, thank you.
All right. I think it was good because good. I'm still, we got to, I think, Chewy, what you're getting to is when it's all said and done and you bring in Mr.